Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
Warning, these women are on fire.
You might look good when the makeup's on, but what does it look like when it comes off?
I'm Jenny Jones.
Monday.
Anyways, man, I want to apologize for my performance last week. I was all over the place. And watching it in the playbacks, I was just messing up all kind of facts, making shit fictional.
No.
And for starters, you know, the introductory thing when I say all things July, I said July 7th.
Damn.
When they're supposed to be the 6th. So fucked up already on that. And it would have been better if I said the 6th like it really was, because I was doing a donkey Lex impression, and shit, you can do better than 7.
Damn, man.
6 has more action in that.
Oh,
So
I mean, Steve, you know, you're right, but also 7th and 6th. I feel like, well, you're right.
there's more fun you could have with 6
You're right.
doing
You
the
got
donkey
it.
lips, man. And then also, bro, like I fucked up Roy Rogers' like Day of Death.
Damn.
R.I.P. I didn't know if it was 97, 98. And then, bro, July 6th. What the fuck? Laughing at my pain.
I love it, Steve. I mean, I'm just as guilty as you are, but you're killing this. Keep it up. Keep going.
This is self-imposed. Like I'm giving myself the lashes.
You're Catholic.
And July 6th, man, that was the day DX did the Nation impersonations, and I didn't even touch on that. But I blame Peacock for making everything so canceling. Hey, Peacock, hi, black man speaking. I was not offended.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's a history, okay? Can we agree to this? Like the SNLs, the wrestling, is it spicy? Yeah, but just like American history and just like history in general, we're not erasing the bad shit, right? We can acknowledge, is it not tasteful to have X-Pac do blackface and fatting himself and, you know, the whole thing? Maybe, but it's funny. And in context, in the back and forth, it was all fun and games. And I just don't understand why we can't just look at it and see it for what it is instead of just not showing it. I don't get that.
I laughed my ass off. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I
And,
mean, we all did.
And I salute your shorts, man. There's a disparate thing, man, between IMDb and Wikipedia with these Nickelodeon shows. And we actually brought attention to it. Like you were like, man, we might have covered this episode. I was like, man, I don't know at this point. And then I said this is the first episode, but then I looked back at another source and it said there was another first. So I don't know, people. I apologize, but we get most of our facts together, and we correct it.
That's somebody else's fault, Steve, because everything else is on point. Everything else matches. Yeah. But when it's a Nickelodeon show, especially like the actual premiere date of the show, the shit's fugazi. I don't understand why that record's so hard to keep, but maybe they had kids working the record department at Nickelodeon. I don't know. I wish, but it's not our fault, guys. Donkey lips.
Well, man, let me ask you this. We love this decade. That's why we have a whole show about it. Mm-hmm. But out of the 10 years, from 90 to 99, what would you say is your least favorite year?
I mean, it's got to be at the end. Because 90, I was filled with hope and love and, you know, expectations, positive. 99, I was coming around the corner and the shit wasn't panning out the way my 7-year-old self thought. So I got to say, probably 99, Steve. You know, I got to say. Wrestling was on point. Maybe I'd seen a titty at this point in my life. Maybe. But there, you know, I was getting fatter. I was getting more self-conscious. and shit was popping off that way. So I'm gonna go 99. How about you?
But we were driving at that point. This is the Limp Bizkit era, like you said, wrestling. We were juniors.
I'm not
School-wise,
saying it wasn't
yeah.
still, there was some great moments within the misery. I'm just saying in terms of my favorite time, I got to go younger when, the world was brighter. I wasn't regretful. I was like, I wasn't even then at 99, but I feel like 99, there was a lot more worse shit going on than when I was 7. So that's my
Uh,
reasoning.
well, mine would have to be 94. I think I reached a point in life, I don't know when, but it was like, man, you know what? Life seems cheerier in the odd years compared to the even years. And from 92, 92 is our first year in Columbus. So, born and raised in Sandusky, we moved to Columbus and it was like, man, I got to start over, got to be the new guy. This is a rebuilding year, just like in sports. So, 93 came along, I got some friends. I'm in 5th grade now. Yeah, here comes 94. I got to leave Columbus. So I got to be the new guy again and rebuild, start new friends in Toledo. This is when I moved from
Oh,
Columbus to Toledo. And 94, it represented the end for two of my favorite like heroes. Like Hulk Hogan, he left WWF and joined WCW. And by 94, Michael Jordan had retired. He's in a Birmingham White Sox or Birmingham Barons. Like I didn't know what to make of life at this point. Like my whole world was shattered. I was looking forward to a fourth Bulls championship. I wanted Hogan to come back and beat Yokozuna, but it just didn't happen. So who do I turn to? Charles Barkley, Penny, Shaq, Brett, Sean, Diesel, it doesn't. What is the world?
help me, big sexy.
And then the Rockets took the championship. There was a time when I only voted for the East Coast. I wanted the East Coast to win the All-Star games. I wanted East Coast to win the championship. And then, the Houston Rockets, they beat the Knicks in 94. And then the OJ shit happened during that. And that was pissing me off as a kid. Like it was
Yeah,
cutting
hell
into the
yeah.
finals. That shit was everywhere. Like, damn, I can't even summer as a kid. OJ. God damn it, OJ. So for me, 94.
That is tough. You actually had a lot of. See, I moved once and it was catastrophic to my life. And you did it like, what, 3 times rapid fire within those years? Man, that's tough, Steve. You are a tough son of a bitch.
Because after Toledo, I would come to Perrysburg in 96, another even year. Yeah, man.
Man, look at this. And look at where you're at now, Steve. You overcame all those odds. Fuck
Yeah,
that.
man.
I mean, 94, I got to agree. That wasn't great. That wasn't great. So maybe, man, retroactively, I might have to just look at it again. But OJ didn't piss me off. It did actually.
It
I
was
was
annoying.
curious about it, but man, you're right, though. It did fuck up a lot of shows when you go back.
Just in the middle of NBA on NBC, my grandma's soaps. My mama want to watch her fucking all the children, all my children, whatever the fuck.
I mean, I don't want this to happen to you, but do you ever think that we will ever have an event like that, like an OJ event where somebody like celebrity just does something inhumanly violent and everybody's captive? Like it was just, I don't think that will
Bro.
ever happen again, you know?
I mean, knock on wood, man. Never say never. I mean, I feel like the Bill Cosby shit was pretty catastrophic, man, because he was a big deal. I mean, he is a big deal. The R. Kelly shit, like, I don't know if that the OJ, because like death wasn't involved though. That's
Yeah.
the thing that takes OJ over the top.
Yeah, man. And I feel like now, I mean, it's just like everybody's out there and everybody's kind of used to crazy shit happening, especially with athletes. Some of it's violent, some of it's just other shit, but yeah, it was wild, man. And yeah, not for nothing, but fucking up a lot of our childhood TV time with all this nonsense. And my grandparents, like a lot of old people, love to watch that shit on like CNBC. So that wasn't great.
Oh, it was everywhere. It was on. I wouldn't be surprised if it was on Cartoon Network.
I'm surprised like McDonald's didn't have like commemorative cups for the OJ trial. That was a marketing thing that they tried to get through. And
Shit, why
also,
not?
shame on OJ because I did see like a review, like he did some kind of thing that I think they never actually showed, but you can watch like the banned episode. But remember, he wrote a book that was like, "What if I did the murders?" And some lady like sat down with him and like went through it, and he was giving hypotheticals as to how it may have happened and shit. It's insane, dude. And that guy even made that. He's still famous and he's out and he's probably rich, Steve. So
Playing with house money.
can we get OJ? You think?
And do you want to get OJ?
Honestly, at this point, I think it would just be in the best interest of the podcast. And am I going to hold his foot to the flame? I don't know, but
Hey, man.
Twitter world might want to talk about it, Steve. I don't know.
Man, anybody can be tracked down in this internet age, man. So I don't want to play no OJ games.
Did not do it.
So, hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Mad G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your Foo Fighters and your food fighters, because you mean the world to me. You are my everything. I swear the only thing that matters to me. Oh, baby, 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 baby. Because you mean so
Damn.
much to me. Doom, doom, doom.
I mean, I feel like we could Weird Al that and like change what like mean the world to me to 90s and like figure out what happened in the 90s, like reprisal of that, Steve.
Tony Braxton, you hear that? I know you watching. Well, today, my friend, we're talking about all things July 13th and the 90s. Cool. Starting off in 1990, Ghost premieres. Young lovers Sam and Molly have it all, but when Sam is murdered in cold blood, his ghost must contact Molly to let her know she's in danger. Directed by Jerry Zucker, starring Patrick Swayze's, Demi Moore's, and Whoopi Goldberg's.
I mean, this was everywhere, Steve. Swayze. This is Swayze in full effect. Demi Moore in full effect. I mean, and it just had a weird vibe. And I would like to point to, as a child, being terrified. Remember when the demon things come out of the ground and like kill I think the mugger who actually killed Swayze, who was actually co-opted by Swayze's buddy, I believe, to kill him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I just pulled that from nowhere, Steve. I haven't seen Ghost in 20 years, but yeah.
It's embedded.
The haircut that Demi had, that was weird. I didn't care for that.
Hey, this was the time of short girl haircuts. I mean, word to Tony Braxton, word to Halle Berry. And I mean, they did that same thing with the guy that worked with Swayze when he died. The demons came up and pulled his evil ass, as they should have. Piece of shit.
Yeah, that guy was a cunt. Also, the gall of that guy to then take the dude's chick. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, dude. You deserve to be taken to hell by black demon ghost things, whatever they were.
Because that's Patrick Swayze's hell. Dude, imagine being able to do that. You pass in a way like that, and you come back and you see like the life as you left it, and your girl is now with a motherfucker that like, oh shit. Like, nah, man, you deserve to die, bro.
And then you gotta be stuck looking at all this shit. And you gotta be stuck. The only way you can romantically communicate to your lovely wife is through Whoopi Goldberg. So, I don't know what kind of weird smashing went on there where she got like possessed, but, Whoopi, I remember her being kind of ridiculous in this movie, but seeing what's behind you, it just is all par for the course,
I mean, the premise is pretty ridiculous, but it did do numbers and it did get its accolades, man. Just last week, we talked about Tom Hanks and his one with Forrest Gump. Man, Patrick Swayze, if you're going to talk about Patrick Swayze, this might be the one. And I know there might be some dirty dancing aficionados in attendance, but man, come on, bro. Ghost, he did that shit.
Yeah, he did. I mean, it's Swayze, dude. But to me, if I'm going Swayze, Steve, I got two things to tell you about. Point Break is one. And then you gotta go Roadhouse. You gotta see the ridiculousness, Steve. You have to.
it gets an honorable mention because I fucks with Roadhouse. It's Roadhouse is top three. Top
Yeah, and
three
also
for
as
me,
a
choices.
wrestling aficionado, Terry Funk's in Roadhouse, Steve. So you get the Funkmeister in there too, on top of Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott, and on top of
Whiskers.
goddamn just a shredissimo fucking Patrick Swayze out there just ripping throats out.
Man, take a little sip of my cold brew Jaeger for Mr. Sway's dog.
Oh,
R.I.P.,
nice.
sir.
Damn, you've been going hard on those, Steve.
I've been taking sips, not
Okay.
full shots.
All right. I'm just saying, this is going to be real interesting. This is going to be more interesting than ECW Heat Wave, but let's
Oh
keep
man,
going.
wait
I
till
don't
we get
know.
there. We're gonna have big fun tonight. And this is one more thing. This is the third Ghost movie of 1990 we've covered this season, man. We covered The Heart Condition with Denzel Washington. We covered Ghost Dad, unfortunately, and here we are with Ghost. And we're about to have our fourth movie that's about a ghost. 1990, July 13th, The Invisible Maniac premieres. An invisible scientist escapes from an asylum and teaches high school physics to nubile teens. Directed by Adam Rifkin, starring Noel Peters and Shannon Wilsey.
Yeah,
We'll see.
anytime I hear the word nubile, I know what's about to happen here. And geez Louise, Steve.
Yes, this film has a lot of that. It's very
Breasticles.
up all night-esque. And one of the stars, Shannon Wilsey, she's more popularly known as Savannah, a pornographic actress, man. And she actually dated Pauly Shore at the time of her death. She tried to do the acting thing. It wasn't working out, but she's so hot that she was discovered by one of those porn guys with fucking like wet hands all the time.
Yeah.
And she got into that world. And eventually she became kind of a household name amongst the pervert community. And Savannah, man, you know, she was a big name, but she ended up getting into an accident that fucked up her nose. And she thought that her work was going to be done, you know, her beauty, that was her bread and butter, man. And so she eventually shot herself. And Pauly Shore was actually with her in the hospital at the time of her death, man.
Damn. I was gonna make a Wheezin' the Juice joke, but I didn't know it happened like that, Steve. Savannah rings a bell. That definitely, as a former pervert, Steve.
Former fapper.
Yeah, you know, I definitely remember that name, but tragic. I can only imagine this movie, you know, got a lot of T's and A's, but probably not. It's not very good, you know. So
I enjoyed it. It's another one of those B movies that, you know, you get a blunt or whatever your device is and just go to town, man, because it does provide you with some beautiful breathalysis, all kinds. Dusty Rose would be so proud. And, you know, the
Savannah.
nerd wins at the end because the guy, he's a scientist and he's telling the panel of scientists like, hey, I come up with this potion that'll make you invisible. It doesn't work. They laugh at him, each and every one of them. So he goes on this rage and kills them all, kills all the scientists, chokes the fuck out of them. He goes to jail, escapes jail because I don't know, I guess he was prisoned in Mayberry. It was that easy. And he's like, well, fuck, now that I'm out, I can put this potion together and do it right. So he does his research, does the potion, and it works. And he becomes a substitute teacher. The previous teacher died from choking on a sub sandwich. And this guy, this is like his opportunity to live out his pervy dreams. He's got these beautiful chested adolescents, even though they were probably adults, all of them. And he was doing shit like sneaking into the cheerleaders' locker room and feeling on their breathalysis and buttocks. And also the girls, of course, they have these stone-jawed fucking Teddy Ruxpin-ass boyfriends. So I loved when he turned invincible and started beating their ass. All these Perrysburg lacrosse team looking motherfuckers.
I like that. I like all of it, Steve. So was there like Hollow Man hand on the titty grab, like invisible hand titty?
Oh yeah, there was a lot of fondling with the invisible hands, man. And there was a serious, like towards the end, he forces a student to stuff his face with a sub sandwich till he chokes. He drowns a bitch in a fish tank. He electrocutes another bitch in a shower with the radio. The one of the guys he starts poking fun with, and he's like, "Hey, don't trip up those stairs," and he's just like fucking with him and like slapping him and shit. And then eventually they get
just invisible, right?
Yeah, it's like a Revenge of the Nerds sequel that should have happened, man. And he ends up like just knocking that guy off of the roof of the school, and he falls into a car.
I gotta say, it's weird that two characters in the movie choke to death on sub sandwiches, but this sounds like I don't know if you're familiar with the company Troma, the Lloyd Kaufman company that makes like Toxic Avenger and movies like that. This sounds like exactly like some shit that they would make. And it sounds like something that like a young me would have loved to have watched for obvious reasons.
You should still watch it, bro. Is it okay? I'm sorry, Kendra. Can he?
No, she's
into
it too. And she's hey, Steve. Let's not do that. But you know, I can't be watching titty flicks with my wife. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm not.
It's not a porno. It's not a porno. It's a good
fucking
narrative.
Nubile teen, Steve. It's a hard sell.
But you got to understand, Matt, they're little bratty kids who are trying to get over on them. Like, look, in this scene, Savannah, she's just playing with them like, oh, if I get an A, I will do this, that, and third. And she goes back to the girls' locker room like, did you hear that, loser? He actually thinks I'm going to like go out with him. And he hears this. It's like, yeah, all of them are treating them like shit. They're like the typical like substitute teacher, like having kids like we were. And so he's like, you know what? He who laughs last. So
I'm gonna grab an invisible titty.
There you go.
I don't get it, but I will. You know what, Steve? You said you watched it, and I mean, you're coming back with a real positive review, so I have to. When I hear this, I got to check it out.
I recommend it just like Frankenhooker. They're both enjoyable, man. You know, just
Frankenhooker to me, it's got the better name. But this one, it seems like there might be more T and A in this. It's like, what do you like more, you know?
Yeah, and plus in this one, they don't explode. You just see like real titties.
Okay, nice. All right.
Man, another sip for Savannah.
That's crazy.
Also in 1990, Quick Change premieres. 3 thieves successfully rob a New York City bank, but making the escape from the city proves to be almost impossible. Directed by Howard Franklin and Bill Murray, starring Bill Murray, Gina Davis, Randy Quaid, and Jason Robards. That's Billy Haywood's grandpa.
Really?
Jason Robards.
Jason Robards?
What was it? Billy something.
Billy, yeah, Billy. You kidding me, Billy? What am I supposed to tell my wife? Anywho, this movie actually sounds dope, and I have never heard of this, Steve. Bill Murray directed and fucking... No, I have not.
This is the one where Bill Murray's a clown, and he's like holding a bank hostage, and 2 of the people in the bank are Gina Davis and the ugly brother, Randy Quaid. But they're in on it with him, and like they're basically like shysters. And it's a fun movie. This is actually the only movie Bill Murray's ever directed. And for his only outing as a director, man, it wasn't bad. Was it great as other Bill Murray movies? No, it's above schmedium.
Okay. It looks terrifying just from that still, but it sounds interesting. I'd like to see this just to see what Bill Murray did directing wise.
Yeah, man. And I've always been a fan of Gina Davis. I always was attracted to her. And I like watching this, I noticed that she kind of had a thing for playing like the only girl in like a group of men kind of characters, like Beetlejuice. It was her, and then like a bunch of other dudes. I mean, A League of Their Own is different because there was a bunch of other like chicks, but there was the other one where she was more butch with Samuel L. Jackson.
I was just thinking of that, where she was like a spy or something, like, or they were like an assassin. Yeah, she was a badass. Yeah. What was that called? Fuck.
I can't call it. Long Kiss Goodnight. No,
that's it. No, that is it. That is it, I think.
But that was panned. That was universally panned, and they say that was like the death knell on her career, which I love that movie, bro.
There was a lot of 90s action movies that I like. It was like hit or miss with the critics, but I agree. I remember that movie being really exciting. It had like a lot of really good action, and she was for a while like she wasn't like an action star, like, but she definitely they could throw her in a lot of different types of movies. Like you said, all those ones you went, it was like comedy, this, that. I mean, League of Their Own's like a drama. She was in mostly dramas, but yeah, dude. Gina Davis. I had a crush on her too. I think it was mostly I saw League of Their Own a lot for whatever reason, but uh Beetlejuice too. She was always just sort of like she wasn't like a Pam Anderson, but she was like a nice little hot mom, something like that. Tenderoni,
like the girl from Third Rock. She's like the token girl amongst, like, she would always be in that kind of realm. And she's tall. I think that's probably why she got the role she got. Because I guess being a tall woman in Hollywood makes you seem tomboyish or something. Or
yeah, like people that make the movies are like little shrimpy people. They're like, you're an Amazon.
yeah. But also, man, Phil Hartman, Tony Shalhoub, and Red Foreman had little parts in this movie, man. So quick change.
Damn.
It's an early '90s gem. But that following year, 1991, Bob Milacki and 3 other Baltimore Orioles, they have a no-hitter against the Oakland A's, 2-0.
Bob Milacki. Don't remember
Bunch of
that
malarkey.
name at all, but Baltimore Orioles, one of the most boring and secretly like they have some like Hall of Famers like Cal Ripken, but I always found the Baltimore Orioles is just a blasé, boring team. Steve, talk
For
me
the
out
most
of
part, and I feel the same way. It's ironic that their last World Series was the year we were born.
Yeah, I mean, their greatest player is only, I mean, he's great. Cal Ripken, I'm not taking anything away from the dude, but his record is he played like without stopping, like the most consecutive games, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Yeah. It-
that's not zinging homers out of the park. It's more of a boring stat, but, shout out to Cal Ripken. You're a ledge.
He is, man, and he's an anomaly. It's not too often that you get to pick a guy that was born in your backyard. Like Cal Ripken is a Baltimore native, so like I think that added to his drive of wanting to make his team great for that long. Because now, bro, unless he's from that city or whatever, which doesn't happen, they're going to be gone after that contract is up and go to the Yankees.
Well, and also, like, it's crazy that Baltimore's kept that team. Like, how is it sustaining? Because they've sucked for decades. Cal's gone. Unless they get him back every decade just to get some people in the stands. Like, I don't know how they're sustaining. I hate Baltimore as a town. I hate their sports teams. As a Steelers fan, their football team the most. But, yeah. I got nothing else to say, Steve.
As a record label and as a crew. But I'm going to just finish this stat out, man. Milwaukee, he was pulled from the game after a line drive struck him on the arm. And despite the batter being retired when the ball bounced towards the first base, so he got some assistance from Mike Flanagan, Mark Williamson, and Greg Olson. They each followed up with a no-hit scoreless inning, and they both completed that no-hitter. So shout out to them. But 92, Revenge of the Nerds 3, The Next Generation, premieres on Fox. Yeah, you heard that right. The Nerds have taken the college, but some jocks are not going to allow this anymore. Directed by Roland Mesa, starring Robert Carradine, Curtis Armstrong, Ted McGinley, Julia Montgomery, Greg Binkley, Richard Israel, and Morton Downey Jr.
Yeah, I checked out pretty quick on these Revenge of the Nerds flicks, but it's crazy they were like, how many I wonder did they get to?
They're either at 5 or 6 or something, man. But I remember this when it was debuting on Fox because it was heavily promoted during the summer. This is downtime for network sitcoms and stuff. So, and just following the Revenge of the Nerds franchise, I was a fan. But this was not great because of a lot of reasons. It didn't have Ogre, which I feel is one of the key ingredients of a Revenge of the Nerds movie, man. He's got to have nerds. You got to have that at least. And he wasn't even there.
Yeah.
He was busy doing, shit with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And then, Ted McGinley, it does have him. It aired on Fox, and that wouldn't have been too hard because he was also Mr. whatever the fuck on Married with Children.
I love this guy I love that this is his life. Hey, Ted, we need you to play a guy who's just banging a lot. Okay. Let me
Yeah.
see if I can act.
Piss
Fucking
me off. I
Ted.
could never be that handsome. Like he could take my bitch now in his 60s. I fucking hate you so much, bro. Pretty
Yeah,
motherfucker.
Revenge of the Nerds. What do you need? You gotta have Ogre. You gotta have Ted. You gotta have Booger. I feel like because he's recognizable,
He's a
and
lawyer now.
which is insane. Um,
Yeah.
the main guy, the Carradine dude. I don't know what his name is. I feel like he maybe is integral, but they're get one of the other nerds. Get the guy that was in fucking a league, Little Big League. That guy. Get fucking what's his
Tim,
face?
Tim Busfield? No,
Yeah,
he's busy
dude.
doing Little Big League.
Get Timmy
Exactly.
Bus. Though I'm just saying, it's like, how do you make a Revenge of the Nerds movie so that you recognize the past ones? So like,
Well,
you can't get the gay guy, you can't get the Asian guy because nobody
the gay
remembers
guy did
them.
show up.
Did he?
Yeah, and the Asian guy showed up. But the little guy, Wormser, the younger one, when
The
he
little
was like
boy?
14 in college, yeah, he didn't show up. And neither did Anthony Edwards. I don't know if you remember his role in the original.
Well, he was
but,
like the second. He was like the second main guy in the original.
Yeah, in the original, man. And he told the producers, I can't do it. I'm working on this hospital show. And some of the people on the crew, they were like, oh yeah, they get those every year. A new hospital drama. Okay. That show ended up being ER and it lasted 11 years.
Him and fucking Clooney were just hanging out, just laughing about this. And then Ted McKinley came over and still fucked a bitch, stole someone's woman. But yeah, dude, Revenge of the Nerds. Probably they're gonna remake this now, Steve. This is probably in the works, but they've really tried to do their best and get some of them. But if they didn't have Ogre in it, I'm out. Hard out
For
for
real,
me.
man. They did have Ben Franklin Jr. in that motherfucker, though.
Damn, dude, that guy's definitely touched a kid for sure. For sure.
Like, you're not a college student, motherfucker. You touch the students.
Yeah, dude. You definitely that guy's supposed to be a college student.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's great.
In that following year, 1993, Toni Braxton releases her debut studio album, self-titled Toni Braxton. And this is the one, man. She's had a lot of hits after, but this was her introduction. Another Sad Love Song, Breathe Again, 7 Whole Days, Love Should Have Brought Your Ass Home Last Night. I Belong to You. You Mean the World to Me. You Are My Everything.
This is the Braxton. This is it. And then her whole family, she's dragging them along just for the ride. And Toni Braxton was never like huge on my list of hotties in the 90s, but she's a songstress. She's a diva. And I was forced to watch a reality show, and that was hilarious.
The Braxtons, I mean, all of them sisters are fine, man. So shout out to Toni.
All of them, Steve?
Well, I mean, the ones I'm familiar with, I haven't seen them all. There's like a lot of them, I guess.
There's one that they bullied that wanted that she was the Khloe Kardashian of the Braxtons, and the show was hilarious. But we're not talking about that, so my bad. Sidetrack.
That's what we do, man. But also in 93, the 64th All-Star Baseball game is held in Camden Yards in Baltimore. The All-Star MVP would be Kirby Puckett of the Minnesota Twins. We keep talking about that, man.
I'm telling you, dude. We didn't realize how big of a name he was, but this thing, we talk about not liking baseball, but I remember All-Star games are usually just a joke. It's usually not that big of a deal, but for a while, for me at least, I remember just being excited because they do the home run derby. You get to see all your players playing against each other one night, and it was pretty cool. I don't know if it's still that. I don't know if it's still as big as it was or if they still do the same shit, but shout out to Kirby Puckett, dude. Look at that guy.
Take a sip from Kirby.
Hitting dingers.
And also, if you haven't yet, people who watch us on YouTube, you need to be watching our stuff on Facebook, on the Instagrams, and on the TikTok. It happened in the 90s.
Wow.
Because I feel like some of you aren't.
You're not. Share the love. This is a community.
We'll love you for it. But in 1994, Beavis and Butt-Head is airing season 4, episode 27, Crisis Line. Beavis and Butt-Head are given positions as teen crisis phone counselors at their school and arrange to have sex with one of the students who calls them.
And it's you know, you don't want that in some crisis line operators, but you know, Steve, you'd think people volunteering for a crisis line, these are good people. The what's the name of the teacher that is the
Mr. Van Driesen.
Mr. Van Driesen? So Mr. Van Driesen, he's getting people jazzed to be part of the crisis line. You know, Mr. Van Driesen has a hilarious song on the Beavis and Butthead Do America soundtrack called "Lesbian Seagull" that I remember just loving. It's hilarious. But again, he's trying to get people jazzed for crisis line, and it's really not ringing any bells, especially for Beavis and Butthead, until they hear that maybe sometimes you talk about sex on this thing, Steve, and really that gets them amped. That gets them excited.
Yeah, get the systems going, man. And they get to the first video watch, and it's Danzig with Mother 93. And that's my shit.
Dude, this shit does get me fired up. Like, I'm not a huge Danzig fan, but I don't know. If you're working out, the little Mother comes on, Steve. Mother!
Tell your children not to run my way. Tell your children not to run my way. What they mean, what they say. Oh, mother.
Dude, he can bench 140 though, Steve.
I bet Danny Bannerducci would kick his ass.
I bet he would probably, but yeah, I mean, I love me some Dan. I didn't remember this video. I remember hearing Mother a lot on 106.5, but I don't know. Danzig, weird energy of that band. But we cut from right there, and it must not take much to be part of this crisis line, because Beavis and Butthead, they're taking calls. They're right there. The first call, it's just a chick who's got no titties, Steve. She's flat.
This chick's flat. But what's
oh my
funny
God.
is before they get the calls, Mr. Van Driesen tells them that the kids are in pain and they need someone to listen. And then try to be more polite, especially to the women. And then that's when they just become Beavis and Butthead, as usual.
Yeah, and then the second call, I think it's a dude who wets the bed.
It's
and I was
Stuart.
like, like, is this Stuart? Oh my God! I mean, they're causing suicides by the second, Steve.
Stuart wets the bed. Dun, 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 dun.
And the third call is a chick with a rude boyfriend, and she doesn't know if she should put out. Butthead's quick to say, yes, you should put out, just straight up. I mean,
I advise you should put out. That would be cool.
But you know, not to that guy. That guy seems like a jerk. But you should put out to a polite dude. So that's kind of their advice. And then that sets off the which is actually like some pretty like good scheming here. Then they go to school the next day and they're just polite to everybody because they don't know who it was, but they just know somebody who's looking for a polite guy is gonna bang. So they're looking for that chick.
We're gonna score. Be polite. They're polite to every girl. And
Pardon
okay,
me.
Yeah, they're just like not using it like they're supposed to. It makes no sense the way they're using it. I mean, excuse me, thank you, please, you first, may I? My pleasure. So after you, ma'am.
And they're just and then like when people are like, "Wait, what the fuck are you talking about?" This isn't the chick, and they'll move on.
I insist.
So they're not, you know, right away it's not going good. But then we cut to a new music video, and what is it called? The band is called Janes.
It's called it's James, and the song is "Say Something."
Okay, and what do they say? Oh, is this another one of those damn 80s suck videos? Oh my
They had to
God,
get fake gorillas because they know real gorillas wouldn't listen to that crap. Only animal that will listen to this is a cow.
His parents wouldn't allow him to use their last name because he sucks.
And then they told him, "Son, it's okay. We know you suck." And then they hugged him afterwards. Oh, he's a wuss.
And then we actually cut to another music video right after that, and this is for Mother's Day Off, Steve? Is that
Mother's Day? It's Mother's Day Out. Locked is the song. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm trying to get it from what they say, so my bad.
No, you got it. Oh.
And they got two lead singers, Steve, and that's intriguing. You know, I don't remember this band at all, but they got two lead singers.
And they have a video with a big eyeball. These guys need to spend more time with sluts. Yeah, they're
Follow
not
lead.
dirty enough.
That's what. Follow lead or get off the fucking pot. What does he? What does he say? What does he say?
He just destroyed it.
They're like a cross between Stone Temple Pilots and those dudes on Hee Haw.
They're like a cross between STV and normal people. Yeah.
And I think this is where they go back to school, if I'm not mistaken, Steve. Is this where they get hit? Am I
Well,
wrong?
we skipped that part, man, because that was before the next video, before the James video,
Oh,
where
my
the
bad.
chick, they run into her and she's like, "Are you the guys from the Crisis Line?" I beg your pardon.
She's like a hottie. They're like, yes, it's working. My
Yeah,
boyfriend
well,
wanted to meet you guys.
yeah, and then he knocks them out. He's like, "Hope I didn't put you through much trouble, sir. I'll be right with you, sir." Fucking retards. So
But is this what? But actually, it does end because they are back on the crisis line, Steve. But the fourth call is just a suicidal girl, and they just get off of that because they got to call 1-900 nudity, which I did as a kid. So that poor girl, Steve, she's gone.
hello, I need some help. I just took a bunch of pills. Shut up. Also, in 1994, various artists released The Lion King original motion picture soundtrack. And this one has all the slappers from the movie. The soundtrack shipped over 10 million copies and eventually sold 10 times platinum in 1995. And by 99, at the end of the decade, it went diamond, being the highest selling soundtrack of the Disney franchise.
I feel like that might have been the pinnacle of it all, Steve, for like Disney animation movies like that. Like that captivated me in a way as a child that, man, I can't really think of any other movies like that. Maybe Aladdin. But as far as like
Possibly.
those old school Disney movies, I remember because this was in Perrysburg. I think I was in like sixth grade when it came out. And I remember like when the VHS came out, man, I think I watched that movie like 100 times in a row. It's fucking fire.
And it starts off with the Rafiki scene where he's holding up Simba, and I like that's my favorite part. There's more to that song, but I feel like I could do yoga with just that part on loop.
Oh yeah. You'll definitely get inspired. Who was singing
It's
the Simba shit? Who was that?
Jason from Smart Guy. He was the older brother on Smart Guy.
Okay.
And he actually did a Vlad TV interview where he talked about his deal. His mom was his manager, and instead of getting like a huge lump sum up front, his mom orchestrated to where they get royalties, which you have to have long-term vision, especially in '94, to think on that term. And he's like, I feel like the guy probably don't have to work for the rest of his life.
You got royalties on a diamond album? I mean, that has to be lifelong money at this point. His mom is, I hope she's an agent. Like, I literally hope she has some sort of agency because of that, because that's some like 3D chess.
Jason Weaver, that's the brother's name. He also played the young Michael Jackson in the TV series.
I mean, dude
The
must have
Jackson
pipes then if he's able to do that shit, but man,
Yeah.
that's legendary. That's crazy. His mom was able to orchestrate that kind of business move against Disney.
Yeah.
That's pretty high. You got to give some credit to that woman, but that's awesome. And for a Diamond album, I don't know what the deal was, but that family's paid.
Yeah, man.
That's
I'm
cool.
gonna get a sip for Jason Weaver, man.
Oh yeah,
I hope
and his
you getting
mom.
your chili, King. And your mom's,
Damn,
man.
get his mom. I mean, Steve, you might want to see if she's single. Some change your life shit right there. She can get us both straight up.
Hey, man, or at least do business with her. I'm trying to be better in knocking down people's moms, man. I'm trying to refrain. But in '96, ECW is airing Heat Wave 96 from the ECW arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
The filthy ECW arena, Steve. Joey Styles. This is what I love about this kind of ECW stuff. It just starts. There's no fanfare. There's no real theme song. It just is like, it's like you found like the Blair Witch tape or some shit, Steve. It's fucking
like a lot of ECW shit starts, man. Just with the shits.
Joey Styles is there as always, and I just have to give something. I'm new to this. Is you're just a straight up vet in this, Steve. You know Joey Styles. I'm not as familiar with everything the man does, but this man, when he gets excited, and goes into that like Kill Switch Engage lead singer energy, where he's like, "Oh my god!" Like, like I feel
It's
like
very Vince-like.
is this the pay-per-view where he says that the most? Because he's saying it like every 5 minutes, Steve.
I mean, that's his thing, though.
ECW. He'll either say that, he just gets crazy, Steve. And like I said, he turns into like a metal singer for a second. It's great.
The one-man wrecking crew, man. And our first match is the Gangstas, New Jack and Mustafa, versus the Samoan Gangsta Party, LA Smooth and Sammy the Silk. And the Gangstas, they don't show up on time. It's just the Samoan Gangsta Party. But when they do come out, as usual, they're with the shits.
Well, they had to go to Home Depot to buy a bunch of shit to bring to the ring, Steve. That's why they were a little bit late. Because they brought it all. I think there's a ladder. There's a damn 50-gallon garbage can. There's some other shit. I don't even know what it was. Maybe some HVAC equipment. I don't know.
Some bats, some wooden planks. They rush the stage with weapons, and so, man, and New Jack cracks the fuck out of one of those dudes, man. I don't
think like New Jack to me as somebody, if I was another wrestler in ECW, I'd be terrified. I feel like that guy might have just been legitimately dangerous, but I might be wrong about that, Steve.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like a gamble when you get in the ring with New Jack, man. He's definitely got some stories.
Yeah. He's got a fringe. He's got a nice fringe Tupac shirt on too, which I love. I love the fringe on it. I don't get it, but it looks cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was his thing too. In another Peacock interference with trademarks and shit. The original showing of Gangsta's matches, they would have Natural Born Killer by Ice Cube and Dr. Dre playing throughout. They do have a song playing throughout this match, but it's not Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, which I felt like it adds more flavor to it.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. I did know that they did that, but I do have to say, it's like almost it makes it chaotic when you just hear like, it seems like the music should have turned off, but it's just playing while they ravage the Samoan Gangsta Party, which, I mean, they don't really get a chance to wrestle. They just get cracked with a bunch of like Home Depot shit and then bleed for a while, and that's it.
Yeah. There's no rebuttal.
Yeah.
And like both of those guys are, they're part of that Anoye family that rocks in.
Oh, okay. So like they're hooked up with Roman Reigns and shit like that. They're with the whole clan, huh? All right.
Exactly. Take a sip for New Jack.
Yeah, rest in peace, New Jack. I saw him on a lot of podcasts back in the day. He used to do like podcasts and just like, I remember one, there was like comedians and they were like, hey, just clothesline us, like do what you did in the ring. And he straight up clotheslined this dude and almost killed his ass. It was fucking hilarious. But yeah, they commit an assault in ring on video. Samoans are just left bloody, and then New Jack gets the mic and basically takes every other wrestling organization or any other bad motherfucker to task. He says, you know what, like, we're here, so nobody's fucking with this, bye. And then that's it, Steve. They're in and out, and I love that.
Put those WWF motherfuckers over there, put them real ECW motherfuckers over there, and see who gonna win this motherfucker.
I mean, I know why I could never have watched this, because as soon as that happened, my dad would have pulled the tape out. It's the same thing that happened when he heard "Don't Be a Menace to South Central." First 5 minutes of that, he'd be like, "This is out." So I love Paul Heyman just allowing this shit. It seems like they've caught like they shouldn't have filmed this. It's like it doesn't seem planned almost.
That's the beauty of it. Everything seems ad-lib, man. Even when it is. And Mikey Whipwreck is in the next match against Paul Loria, and Paul Loria, who holds Magic the Gathering conventions in his garage, he doesn't stand a chance against even puny ass Mikey Whipwreck.
Can you explain why Mikey Whipwreck seems to be getting like a pop in this? Like he seems to have like people are like on his ass, like he's some shit. Is he like a guy I should know, or what's going on there?
He is a kind of like how the Daniel Bryan had a following because he was a small guy in a big man's world. Mikey Whipwrecker was the same thing, and every match he had, he would get obliterated. If it was Taz, if it was Raven, they would just fuck Mikey Whipwreck up. But he makes it through. It's kind of like the Spike Dudley deal.
That's what I was gonna say. The nerdy Dudley boy. But yeah, it's just some short kings wrestling. Paul Loria just looks. I mean, these guys are very small. This is a diminutive match. Mikey eventually wins this, but then basically immediately the Eliminators, if I'm not mistaken, somebody comes out and starts whooping his ass.
Cronus and Saturn, yeah, because we don't want to see that weak shit no more. And they have an impromptu call out like, "Hey, we the tag team champs. We popping. One of y'all motherfuckers come from the back and
popping.
Yeah, we lit. So unless somebody can stop us, we gonna stay lit. It's up from here." And as Mikey's walking to the back after his match, Sabu pops up. And Sabu's just like, "You want to do this shit?" Mikey was game.
That's
sure.
kind of fucked up, but whatever. You're cool. So yeah, I guess him and Sabu have they've been hanging out. They're friends. So Sabu's just down. Apparently he's just in the back waiting to fuck somebody up.
Always.
Which I do love that. That's fucking dope as shit. And I gotta say, Perry Saturn, as tough as the guy is, like you gotta mess with the look, bud, because the purple tighties, I don't like it. It looks very gay porno-esque, and I'm just not into that.
The eyebrow piercing don't help either, man.
Yeah, dude. He's definitely doing some like solo masturbation videos after this, but fucking Saturn and Sabu they put on a show for a while. Those dudes, like, I'm making a joke, but like Saturn is a badass wrestler, and he does weird white person karate shit that you don't expect. He's doing a lot of like
man Cronus
and shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's from Cleveland, Saturn is. So there you got to mix in a little bit of crazy with that, man. I don't know if you caught the audience chanting "Sad fucking boo, sad fucking boo." Like that's just innovative as hell. And once again, Philadelphia, here's your flowers. I'm not a complete hater, but y'all kind of set the mold for all of this live event shit, man. That kind of energy.
I mean, as far as wrestling crowds go, they're the innovator of offense, Steve. They're saying shit you shouldn't be saying on TV, and it's great. It's actually like another character, really, because like the whole building will turn on people at certain points, and it's very creative at times, which you really don't get from Philly that much. But these people, they're on it, so.
They did it in this match. They go from sad fucking boo to when he flubs a move, they're like, "You fucked up. You fucked up." So they'll call you on your shit.
And I mean, Sabu, if nothing else, I mean, this guy needs to be given some kind of like whatever Guinness World Record for different uses of a chair. Because he'll pull a chair out, he can jump off it a different way, and the balance that this guy has to constantly be jumping off of a somewhat crumpled chair at times onto the top rope while grabbing a guy and then doing some other crazy shit. I mean, no wonder the guy's neck's all jacked up, Steve. He's jumping all over the place. This guy's a maniac.
He's my favorite. Yeah, dude. Of ECW cats, he's my favorite, man. Because moonsaults from any angle. He can jump from the second rope, do a moonsault, third rope, top rope, from the chair to the third rope and do a moonsault, man. And he eventually gets knocked through tables. by the Eliminators. They execute a total elimination on Mikey Whipwreck, and they retain their titles.
That's a great name. That's a cool ass name for your finishing move as a tag team. Total elimination. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's fucking awesome as fuck. That's so cool.
And the next match is the Dudley Brothers. You got Bubba Ray Dudley, Big Dick Dudley, along with Chubby Dudley, Dances with Dudley, and Sign Guy Dudley against the full-blooded Italians, Little Guido and JT Smith, with Salvatore Bellomo and Big Guido.
Yeah, and also, well, we'll get to it, but who is the guy that looks like a gay gladiator? That's Salvatore Bellomo.
Salvatore Bellomo.
Yeah.
R.I.P. I'll take a sip for Salvatore.
Take a sip for that guy and his wardrobe choice, because it's very like he looks like a chariot racer from like Ben-Hur, which I don't get. I get you're Italian, but damn, how fucking old Italian are we going here?
Yeah, he's antiquated because his career goes back to the 70s. And
He looks like
it
fucking
looks like
Captain Lou Albano in a fucking gladiator outfit. Is really what he looks like.
It looks like the same gear he used from the 70s, probably, man. He wasn't getting them big checks.
Oh, he's out there. JT Smith is out there. And little Guido. I mean, I know Italian. I love, like, there's really just, it's perfect. He's small and he's Italian, which I love that. But, what I don't like, Steve, and what I was saying to myself, and I know it's a thing that maybe I should have known about. I'm like, where's Devon at? Fuck is Devon at? I don't like this. I didn't know there was some static ever with the Dudleys. I thought they were a solid squad always, but apparently that's not the case.
Yeah. Around this time, there was a rift between the two. Devon had smashed Bubba Ray over the head with a chair, and that's what caused some friction. And now, he's kind of having a snit with the rest of the Dudley family. Like, fuck all of y'all.
And he really seems to not like Big Dick Dudley at all. Like, that's the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really gunning for Big Dick, but like Bubba Ray is kind of like collateral damage.
Okay.
And the funny thing about Devon, he's running interference throughout this match. He's not even involved in the match. He calls out Big Dick. Big Dick comes back to where he's at, but as he's coming back to where Devon was, he's heading to the ring. So he does kind of like the switcheroo, pump fake.
Well, this is a very weird, confusing match because first off, it starts off with JT Smith and Little Guido and that other guy coming out, and they do like this whole improv thing, and it's not working, so we don't have to cover it. But one thing that they do, because three guys come out, but Little Guido's like, guys, my little brother's here. My little brother grew up a little bit. I'm going to bring him out. He can be part of the squad. So they bring out Big Guido, who's actually Little Guido's little brother. And Big Guido is a fucking tank of an Italian dude, Steve. Like, this guy is gigantic. I mean, they say he's 7 feet, and I believe it. The biggest goddamn Guido I've ever fucking seen. This is no fucking Joe Pesci. This is fucking the ultimate Guido.
Pastrami on rye with everything ass motherfucker, man.
Fucking salami, dude.
Yeah, and I mean he's good with the power bomb. He delivers them throughout the Dudleyville community.
He gets everybody with the fucking power. And I mean nasty power bombs. Like ones that look like they're doing some damage they shouldn't be, but that's all he can do. But the thing that's confusing, which I said, is that we've named 8 people, I believe, now that are sort of around this and in the mix. And there should only be, it's a tag team match. So there's all these people here, but it's not really clear who is actually in the match and who's just, because Big Guido will just come in, powerbomb a dude, and now he's kind of in the match while some other guy's doing some shit. And it just gets kind of wacky, if I'm being honest, Steve. Big Guido's being big and powerbombing people, but that's all he can do. He can't even punch. No.
And Big Dick hits Big Guido upside the head with a chair, and they get the pin. So win for the Dudleys. I'll take a sip for Big Dick Dudley, who's not with us.
One other thing I got to give JT Smith credit for is that guy, I never heard of him. He's the black dude that's wrestling in this. I've never heard of that guy before. JT Smith. I don't remember that.
he got phased out over time. He was a OG of ECW. If you watch those early TV tapings, he was in those shows on a weekly basis when they had probably like 6 to 10 guys on the whole roster. You had JT Smith. But the next match is Tarzan Goto against Axel Rotten. And Axel Rotten, I'll take a sip for him. Brian Knighton was found dead by police at a McDonald's bathroom next to the hotel he was staying at in Linthicum, Maryland.
Yeah, and that guy comes in looking like scarred as fuck. His arms are just like big ass scars. It looks like he cut himself constantly. I don't know if that was a look that he was going for. Or that was just some shit that happened to him, but
that's his life.
He looks crazy. And then Tarzan Goto, who is some sort of Asian wrestler extraordinaire with one of the most unfortunate outfits. Like, it just doesn't, you can't come in looking like, it looks crazy. It looks a little budge.
You don't have the body for that to pull anything off though, too, man. I'm going to take a sip for Goto because he's no longer with us, man.
Goto isn't? I mean, but what I will say is that dude, you want to talk about big power bombs? He throws a couple of huge ass power bombs in this shit too. And yeah, he's got a wild look. He's got that Captain. I hate that I keep referencing Captain Lou Albano, but he has that weird like wild hair look too. So
it's like your go-to for trashy look.
Yeah, I mean that is
Captain
what it
Lou.
is. Captain Lou, but Goto, one thing I do think is cool about ECW that, I mean, I guess maybe other organizations just weren't saying it explicitly, but they'll bring a guy like him who I guess was like a Japanese wrestler, and they'll make sure like this is a legend. Like you're watching a straight up legit badass. So I think that's pretty fucking dope.
And that's the work of Joey Styles, man, doing his due diligence, man, as a broadcaster. And Goto, he hits a brain buster on Rotten on a steel chair for the win. And yeah, man, they do this thing in ECW with the dueling chairs.
Yeah, dude, chair fight. They do it a couple times in this, like not just in this match. So yeah, I clocked that a bunch, and maybe that's like an innovation that chair fencing is really what it is, very Robin Hood-esque.
Yeah, you could say that, man, in a Philadelphia fashion. And then next is Joey Styles. He introduces Taz to the ring, and he's accompanied by yellow chalk teeth Bill Alfonso.
Yeah, I mean, I hope at some point Bill Alfonso made enough money to get those teeth fixed, or that maybe they all fell out. Is he still with us, Steve? Is Billy?
He's still with us, man.
Okay. Are the teeth good? Yeah. Do we got a clock on the teeth?
I'm sure that grill is still very Skeletor.
I mean, we'll yell just loudly in the camera. We'll spit and spittle all over the camera. I don't get why Taz wants to have this guy around, to be completely honest with you, Steve. I don't get it.
He's a great agitator. Like, if you're a heel, you want to get somebody who can piss people off too. Like, and that's the beauty. He doesn't have to do as much talking. He'll just let Bill Alfonso go on a cocaine rant till he turns purple in the face, which is what he did here. Joey Styles, you're fired. You are unemployed. You don't have a job. You are welfare, food stamps. Like, man, somebody check this man's blood pressure.
I like the comedy timing of Joey Styles and Taz too, because he'll be like, listen, I'm not gonna, and Taz will be like, shut up, bitch. And he'll be like, okay.
Yeah. Shut your mouth. You're fired, motherfucker.
So Taz is he's choking people out, and he's constantly telling you about it, and you got to respect it because he's right. You bring this guy over, I choke him out. You bring this fucking UFC guy in, I choked him the fuck out. So I'm the boss. Bill Alfonso's the CEO, I guess, and he's trying to fire the mouth of fucking ECW, which, if you do this, the building's going to turn on you guys. Joey Styles, the mob's going to turn. You can't do this.
Fuck you, Taz. Fuck you, Taz. The ECW crowd will let you know immediately.
But this is Taz. This is when I didn't know about Taz, like this, when it was happening. But when I did find out about Taz and knew how big of a badass it is, this is the one. Because he's just yoked, silently intimidating people, and then some guy named 911. Who is 911?
911. He was the original choke slam king. Like, he is another OG. Like, you know, when they had a small roster, he would come out in a match that had nothing to do with him. If it was boring, it was like Sandman.
Yeah,
From Apollo. Like, man, nobody's trying to see this shit. But we want to see that choke slam. And he'll come in and choke slam everybody in the match.
I love that though. It's Sandman from the Apollo. That's perfect. But I like how they're like, oh, here's 911. He's just, they make him like he's some like renegade wrestler that'll, like you said, he just shows up. You can't control this guy. It's 911. But 911 comes out because Taz is talking all that shit. And I guess 911's the guy that cleans that up. But then, you think Taz is about to get his, but he takes a shot or two, and then he just straight fucking strips and rips 911 and chokes his ass out. So his reign continues. But I think in the mix, maybe Joey Styles, like, he just continues announcing. So I think he still has a job, Steve. Don't worry about it.
That's outside of Alfonso's authority, man. But the next match is long as fuck. Shane Douglas, Chris Jericho, 2 Cold Scorpio, and Pitbull #2 for the ECW Television Championship. It's 40 minutes. This whole fiasco, man.
Well, and one thing I got to tell ECW back in the day, if I could go back in time, you got to fucking tighten up these intros. Because some of the shits, it's like Shane Douglas comes out and just sits on a seat for a while because they got to introduce all these people. And I do like that. Like, Shane Douglas actually, to me, is like, he's on the level of a Mr. Perfect, but he must have just been a dick. Like, he just, No,
man. Like, as you're seeing now, watching ECW, bro, like, you can appreciate some of these guys that you might have heard in Vince's territory. Like, you're getting a fair shot now. And you can see, like, okay, this is why this guy has been relevant this long. Because I remember him doing this bullshit ass graduate gimmick and doing some corny shit when he was with Vince.
Yeah.
Why are people, that's probably your mindset. You're like, why are people talking about him? Who gives a fuck? He's corny. Like, nah, dude, Shane Douglas was the shit in ECW.
Cocky as fuck. And I love that shit. And he's got a thing with Pitbull #2 coming into this. And Pitbull #2 at this point is locked up with Francine, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right?
She's the manager of the Pitbulls.
Yeah, she is. She's the manager of a lot of stuff. And she's looking great also. I got to just give a shout out to Francine, but she doesn't do a lot in this match. But, this is like, I just feel bad that I didn't watch ECW because seeing Jericho in this, and we get like, we said Shane Douglas and all that, but even like 2 Cold Scorpio on this, like, these guys are fucking killing this. It is a long match though. 40 minutes. Yeah. It's a little long.
40 minutes, man. Ridiculous. It gives us everything you could ask for a match. It has the high spots, some top rope Hurricane Ranas. If you got Jericho and 2 Cold, man, you're going to get some high spots, man. Shit. Before Pitbull even enters the ring, he gets a chair shot to the face. And he's
opened up immediately, dude. He gets opened up and the match is so long that by the end of the match, the shit's dried. He's not bleeding anymore. It's healed itself.
Man, his skin was a bandage.
But yeah, Jericho also in this, we get that vintage. You see the Jericho we got in WCW where he's like, come on, baby. I forgot about that, dude. Just straight lion hard, dude. I love that shit, dude. I'm trying to think of some high points. And we see it behind you, but at one point, Pitbull 2 is such a fucking roid freak that this guy one arm fucking presses a full-grown man above him. I know he's got some help, but he did that shit, Steve. He straight up did that shit.
It takes some strength to pull that shit off, man. And he also fucking power bombs Shane Douglas into 2 chairs, which looked like it hurt, sounded like it hurt.
2 Cold Scorpio in this match puts on a show too, because I mean, he's in there a lot. I mean, this match is long as fuck, but he actually eliminates Jericho, and he, as always, 2 Cold Scorpio will jump off and flip around and do some shit you've never seen. And I've never heard of this move, the tumbleweed, but it's like an insane, like 720 spin acrobatic leg drop that it's insane to watch. So he did that, Steve. He did that.
And Jericho's the first elimination, man. So he's not going to be champ anymore. He came in with the belt and not leaving with it. And but shortly after that, Two Cold Scorpio gets eliminated because he gets tag teamed by Shane Douglas and Pitbull number 2. They do a super power bomb off the top rope, and now Two Cold Scorpio's out. Now it's just Pitbull number 2 and the franchise, Shane.
Yeah. And the power bombs continue because I think Pitbull actually power bombs Shane through 2 chairs.
Yeah, that's
And
when it
that-
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the amount of like crumbled chairs after these events has to be astronomical, Steve. I hope they're recycling these things or I don't know, but and then the franchise, he's trying to do things. He actually recovers from getting powerbombed through 2 chairs, tries to set up like a table, some shit's going on, and then all of a sudden Francine blows some cocaine in Pitbull's face, I believe.
Oh, that's what it was.
I think it was cocaine, or maybe it was her diet shit. I don't know, but she blows some shit into his face. Turns out, Steve, the franchise got the Francine, and now she's on the franchise's side, and we know that not only from the cocaine blow, but she actually has some matching underwear that say the franchise on it. So I love the accessorizing. It's that 90s, like, not very fat white lady booty, but it's still sexy. Time and place.
It will suffice.
It
I
would
like the
definitely
total
suffice.
package.
Is Francine still with us, Steve?
She's definitely with us. Yes.
Okay. How's she doing? Give me what's up, Francine? How you doing?
Maybe she'll pop up at one of those conventions. I'd like to be in attendance if it is.
The AVN Awards, if nothing else, hopefully. But the franchise wins. He has the chick. But I gotta say, Steve, going in like after this match, if I'm Shane Douglas, I don't want just a pissed off Pitbull number 2 trying to come after me because I feel like that's a guy who's gonna commit a murder because you took his woman, and I think that I'd be very scared. I'd be Brian Pillmaning myself in my house with a gun, if I'm being honest.
And Pitbull 1 is not going to be too far behind, man, because he does come out. And with the assistance of Pitbull number 2, they both powerbomb the fuck out of Francine and let them cakes flop. Bloop, 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 bloop.
I mean, at that point, all Joey Styles, like usually Joey Styles will yell like, "Oh my God." He can't even, he just goes, ECW. He's shocked. And this is terrifying on the level of when the Dudleys powerbomb the old lady through the table.
Mae Young.
Yeah, it's all on that level. I mean, Francine takes a legit shot, Steve. I got to give it to her.
She did, man.
Probably took a couple other shots.
To beat Pitbull number 2's nostrils at that time of the power bomb, like that would have been a delayed power bomb. Like, oh, hold on, I'm gonna bring her down. Hold
on. What's going on here? Pitbull passed out. Yeah, I mean, we could all be so lucky, but man, God damn it, it took a while, Steve. It took a while,
Franchise pulled out the brass knucks. He pulled out a steel chain. And it took another belly-to-belly suplex to finally get the pin. So franchise leaves with the girl and the belt. He up one.
Damn. And there's a reason he's got all that swag, Steve. But then we go to fucking... I mean, really, I don't even know why this happened, but I think everyone needs a piss. So we have to watch Luis Piccoli versus El Puerto Ricano.
Get some cheese for your pretzels. Yeah. And all right, I'm gonna take a sip for Louis.
Damn, how many sips, Steve? You're not gonna be alive after this.
We're in 97. I'll make it.
Right.
Louis Mucciola Jr. Spicoli had stopped taking drugs after the renewed fears for his health, but the news that his mother was terminally ill with cancer led to a relapse. Spicoli died on February 15, 98, 5 days after his 27th birthday, after overdosing on soma and wine, choking on his own vomit.
That sucks. But in this, he looks like a badass because he whoops the shit out of El Puerto Ricano and then just pins him with one finger, Steve, just like that. That's pimp.
I love those.
That's baller,
especially as a heel. Yeah, and then but Sabu, because he was the originally scheduled opponent, he comes in after this El Puerto Rico match, and he's ready for some damage. One of the many reasons why Sabu's my favorite ECW wrestler, some damage is going to happen either to himself or to his opponent, but more than likely he's going to hurt himself, but it's going to be entertaining.
Yeah, and we get a chair fight. We get a dueling chairs in this also. You get that. And I mean, you got to expect that with Sabu because that's basically his weapon of choice is a chair. I mean, that's his MacGyver weapon. The one thing that I really noted, it's a good match. I mean, I think this was done to maybe give Louis Spicolli a little bit of heat and give him a little bit of shine. But dude, they set up like a table between the ring and the guardrail, and Louis just like sits on it, and Sabu does like a moonsault onto that off of the top rope, and that I just don't know how you make that like you can actually continue doing anything physically after that. Because if I did that, you hear a lot of crying and screaming, and then I just walk to the back. It's crazy.
That's his thing,
dude. He's just what is the thing he hits Spicoli with where he grabs a chair, sits on it, and then jumps on it and sits on your face?
Arabian face buster.
Jesus. I mean, how do you pull that off and not fucking kill the guy, Steve?
By being a crazy son of a bitch, man. And
Jesus.
That's what he used to win this match, man. Sabu gets the victory. They do a handshake. Like,
he gives
hey,
him like
man,
some
good
props.
job.
I feel like he just is like, it's one of those where they're trying to get the crowd in, and Louis Spicolli does not look like a guy who's gonna do anything. He just looks like that guy you beat up, the junkyard dog type, like that guy. But he gets his, and he has a good match here, and he gets to wrestle with the legend. That's got to be pretty fucking dope.
And our main event is Sandman, Terry Gordy, and Tommy Dreamer against Raven and his Nest with Brian Lee and Stevie Richards. Also with Lori and Tyler Fullington, Sandman's ex-wife and his child, assisting and accompanying Raven.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole thing. And I got to be honest, we were talking about a confusing match before. This match is super, like the actual rules of the match are super confusing and I don't get it. So maybe you can explain, but I don't know if we need
I can't. I know what the stipulations are, but it still makes no sense. I feel like Bill Alfonso did the booking for this because it has crackhead written all over it.
I mean, it is crackish in all ways, but we get a lot of hitters here. And I'm seeing Stevie Richards a lot, and it was somebody I forgot about, but I love me some Stevie Richards, Steve. And I feel like this guy was part of like a lot of huge matches. And this one, there's so much blood in this match is this one of the bloodiest matches you've ever seen?
No, totally not. No.
Okay. Well,
no.
Continue. Fuck me.
I've seen a lot of ECW, man. I mean, this was bloody. It was gory. But man, that Terry Funk and Sabu barbed wire match.
Yeah, that actually, you're probably right about that. Yeah, I forgot definitely that. But this one is bloody. And I mean, Stevie Richards immediately gets somehow opened up. And he's not like, because that's what I'm saying is confusing. Like Raven's in the ring. Stevie's up on like a fucking balcony someplace in his fucking shorts. I don't get it, but people start bleeding immediately. So
and the stipulation is that even though Raven is the current champion, the only way the title will change is if someone pins Stevie Richards, who isn't the champion. And Stevie Richards is supposed to face Terry Bam Bam Gordy on the what do you call it?
It's like a balcony or some shit. Yeah. I don't know what that is. It's just like where it's a storage balcony or some shit. But they got a ref up there too. It's like, where are we supposed to be paying attention? I don't know how they did this, but
yeah. With Brian Lee and Tommy Dreamer on the apron on the outside of the cage and Sandman and Raven inside. And really, Matt, referees, if you think about it, serve absolutely no purpose in this company. They really don't. They don't.
It's a wasted paycheck, to be honest with you. Just, get in and get out. Also, the Blue Meanie comes out at some point, like a moo-moo. I know he eventually is hanging out with, like, Stevie Richards, but I guess he's part of the Ravens flock. Is that it?
The BWO, man. Yeah, he took them under.
Well, at this point, everybody's here. Tommy Dreamer's here. Tommy Dreamer, I think, is contractually obligated to just take people into the crowd because that's usually where his matches occur. He's just in the crowd. Stevie's bleeding almost immediately. And when I say bleeding, you can't even see his face. It's just it looks like somebody ripped his skin off his face.
Eventually, just about everybody's gushing.
Yeah,
From
dude.
Brian Lee to Tommy Dreamer. I feel like Tommy Dreamer probably got it the worst, man, because it took no time. He showed up late to the show. And, it's like, hey, man, I need to catch you up.
And Sandman's in this, and like you said, his kid and his wife are with Raven, so that's a whole shebang-a-bang that we're going to get to. Yeah. But Sandman comes in and is basically a non-factor throughout most of this match because Raven puts him in a figure four. He's just agonized most of the match, so he's fucked up. Raven gets opened up, and I just want to say one thing that I kept noticing throughout this whole pay-per-view, and it's very evident here. The grime of ECW Arena's floor, that when somebody goes on it, they come up and there's just a whole schleboigle of just dirt and just gobbledygook on them that I don't like. And we see there's liquid everywhere. It seems very wet and just gross. And there's so much blood. Yeah, and it's very like there's so much DNA and just like people are bleeding. I don't like this, Steve.
Man, and eventually Tyler, Sandman's son, comes in to defend Raven because Raven's like chained up to the cage. So Tyler tries to defend him, and Tommy Dreamer, they both have a weapon. They're like, Tommy's with the shits. He's like, man, no, fuck your kid. He's bad as fuck.
Let me fuck your kid up.
Sandman's like, no. So that becomes a thing, and Brian Lee and Tommy Dreamer at one point, they're fighting at the top of the cage, and they got 3 tables stacked outside of the ring. And Brian Lee choke slams the fuck out of Tommy Dreamer into all 3 chairs. Oh my God.
Yeah. And then who is the guy that's running around in like a Power Rangers costume?
That is El Nino. Oh, no. Don't have me lying, bro.
But eventually,
Supernova.
That's what it is. Yeah, because like all these people, and again, this is why it's confusing. All these people are just like flying around. Tommy Dreamer's all fucked up. He goes through a bunch of tables. This other guy, whatever his name is, he's out there. Raven, he's bloody. Sandman, he's all fucked up. Eventually, like you said, they're like his kids with Raven. They stop all that, but eventually Sandman does like come to and like DDT's Raven and wins the match, but like at what cost, Steve? Because one, Tommy Dreamer's left after he gets through those tables in a liquid. It looks like he's in just like a sewer. Like he's in liquid. There's shit dripping on him. He's bloody as fuck. He might be dead. Who's the guy behind him? What's that guy's name? Not so big,
Brian
sexy. Fucking that guy. He's bloody. Like they're just fighting bloody, like for no reason. I don't get why they needed so many people to get fucked up like this. I don't get it, Steve.
Because Matt, this is extreme.
Oh my
Brian
God.
Brian Lee was actually second Undertaker in that ill-fated SummerSlam Taker versus Taker match. Yeah.
Wow, dude. He was, what was it? Who is Cronus? Who did he turn into? Did he turn into somebody else?
He didn't go to any of the other ones, I don't think, man. Okay. I think after ECW, he went to the smaller markets. But yeah, Sandman gets the pin on Raven. Belt doesn't change hands because of the stipulations. But after that, Brian Lee chokes the fuck out of Missy Hyatt, Beulah McGillicuddy, and Kimono Wanalea because he puts his hands on girls.
Yeah, he doesn't give. I mean, he's choking women out, Steve, and it's not like a sleeper hold choke. He's choking them.
Debo, go to sleep.
And also, again, the floor is dirty. But Heat Wave 1996, Steve. We got women being choked. We got everyone's bloody. I think Raven lost at least a good pint and a half of blood. He's all fucked up. His leather jacket's never going to be the same. I mean, fuck it.
This is ripe for WWF and WCW, man. They're taking notes. I'm sure Vince is watching this. He has a persona of like, no, I'm above that. Like, no, motherfucker, you do your homework on your opponents because Vince, that's what you do. That's how you Vince.
I mean, this is Paul Heyman comes out right at the end just to check that fucking Tommy Dreamer's not completely dead. Um, and you're right though. Like you can see how this influenced like especially when you see what it became. Like, man, ECW really, Vince must have hated it and loved it so much, because he bought it, but then it just basically they made this like part of the whole organization. Like, didn't they have an ECW belt in WWF?
Yeah, they had their own like divisions because Vince got so many people in his roster now. It was like, I have to break this up in sections.
Yeah.
All right, team WCW, y'all just joined the ECW. So y'all a team versus my people.
So. Hell yeah. Damn, dude. But ECW killing it. And this to me, I mean, it was long but there was a lot of, this was like really not a lot of fluff. Usually you get a couple. I mean, even the Spicoli one, you wouldn't be like, I want to watch a Louis Spicoli match, but it was fucking good. Like, it was still fucking good, dude.
If it's got Sabu in it, I want to watch it. Yeah, but in 1997, Bash at the Beach 97 is airing through WCW at the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach, Florida. And it was a decent showing. This is the one where Rodman or Rodzilla makes his wrestling debut in a match with Hollywood Hogan against Lex Luger and the Giant. Lex Luger and the Giant won that match. That was the main event. And Roddy Piper defeated Ric Flair by technical submission. Chris Jericho had a pretty good show, like all of his matches, against Ultimo Dragon. He's a cruiserweight champ at this point.
Dude, Ultimo Dragon, dude. That guy had the nastiest fucking... Remember that movie he had? Where he'd like crank your fucking neck back the bad way? Dude, yep. That was nasty.
But I gotta give props to Rodman, man. He for an NBA player, he didn't do bad. Like his first move when he got tagged in by Hogan, he did an arm drag, and everybody, it just blew everything off the roof, man. It's like it was good, it looked good, and people were like, oh my god, he pulled off an arm drag.
I mean, I don't remember. Like, I remember when I watched like Karl Malone wrestle, where it was just like, come on, like let's fucking get over this. But this one, also Rodman, like there could be no one else that's built to be a wrestler. The persona, the whole like his body, he's bodied up, like he should be able to do it. And shout out to Rodzilla, dude. We loved it.
I wanted
to see this shit.
I'm a Rodman fanatic, man.
Dude, I love the Worm.
There's pause. There's also another match that had DDP, Self High Five, and he was teamed up with Kurt Hennig against Scott Hall and Macho Man. And Kurt Hennig, he turned on DDP in this match, man, and he would eventually join NWO.
Good. Fuck a DD. No, I love DDP, but I was team NWO, Steve. And this was when they got that Hennig though. When they got Hennig, Steve, that was when you knew. Because wasn't he in the Four Horsemen?
For a short stint, but that was like not good, a not so great time for the Horsemen.
Yeah, wow. They didn't have what's his name, Mongo. Okay, dude.
But and also in this, man, Raven is actually in attendance. He's sitting with the crowd, and Stevie Richards is sitting next to him. Just a year later, they're going to be in WCW. And they got an angle. He's about to create his flock. They can't call it the Nest anymore, but Raven's flock. And I guess Stevie Richards is a part of that flock at this point, man. I'm gonna take a sip for Stevie for sharing namesake and whatnot, and just surviving.
To be honest with you, I think he's more like he's up there in terms of like people who are involved in a lot of different, like not crucial, but he was there, dude. I remember Stevie Richards. I feel like he was just always like his angle was he was kind of like the joke guy. Like people would shit on him and stuff. He'd get bullied and whatnot, and then he'd have to throw a tantrum or do some shit. But he, other than wearing fucking cut off jean shorts a lot, like
Daisy Dukes,
maybe I couldn't do without that. But otherwise, I love me some Stevie Richards.
I guess that was a part of the joke. But in 1999, two short releases, Can't Stay Away, Bitch, And this, I don't remember it because it didn't have any like breakout hits, but the releases were more Freaky Tales, Invasion of the Flat Booty Bitches, and It's About That Money. It's
Hey,
got features from 8 Ball MJG, Jay Z, Jermaine Dupri, E40, Daz Dillinger, Scarface, and Puff Daddy.
I mean, you can't say any. It's Too Short's a legend, dude, and also he's a pimp, and he perfected the way to say bitch. So we can give him as many flowers as you want. One thing I do like always about Too Short is I've heard him on like just a lot of podcasts talking about his life. The way he got into rap and how he sort of got his name is kind of just like interesting and like it's like old school, you know. It's just like how he was making mixtapes for people. Like he was making like personal mixtapes for people and shit, like raps, which that's
Back
not
in the
a, you
day,
know, it's crazy. So
when they were tapes, like actual tapes
yeah,
on cassette. Yeah.
they used to have a really cool show. I mean, this is the one I was on, but it was like Neil Brennan had this show. It was called Champs or something where but he was on that and he's always a good interview. He's got a lot of personality and he's a funny fucking dude. And I think that's sort of like why he has the longevity he does because he's been around. I mean, shit, he's been around longer than Snoop Dogg.
Oh yeah, much longer. Well, not much longer, but he's been around longer and he's got a lot of stories to tell, man. He's rubbed elbows with a lot of people who are legends that aren't here, man.
Hell yeah, dude! Shout out Too Short, dude. Biatch.
It's a great listen, man. It gives you that pimp player shit that you'd expect, especially when it's got Jay-Z and tracks with 8 Ball MJG, which is my favorite song on there, man. E40, 40 Water.
Ooh,
Yeah, dude. And Scarface. So
damn.
can't
I need to see. I don't know why, but he just never was like on the top of my list, but he was always there. You'd always get like a Too Short song every once in a while, and it was just you love it. But yeah, dude, love me some Too Short. I'll need to listen to this.
and you're a West Coast guy, man.
Yeah,
I think you would prefer like that death row funk style over the East Coast. So like, yeah,
I
dude,
mean,
you
I
would
always did,
this
and
era
he's
Too
even
Short,
has done more like modern shit, like with any Bay Area rappers that come up. I forget what the name of the. There's a guy
Mr.
named like
Fab.
Problem that came out like in the 2000s, I think, and like a guy named I Am Sue that was from like the Bay Area, and he was like involved with them a little. He's involved with everybody, but shout out Too Short. Like I love him, like everybody.
Also in Also in 99, Lil C's releases The Wonderful World of Caesar Leo. And the breakout track from that album was Play Around. He's got features from Busta Rhymes, Puff Daddy, Redman, Lil Kim, Jay-Z, Total, and 112. Not bad.
I don't. I mean, Little Cease is a name I know, but I'm like that's hilarious. I love that. But I mean, was he down with like Notorious B.I.G.?
That was his best friend.
Yeah,
And
that's why I
it
know
was
his
one of
name.
those like Hollywood, like Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And like I hate to shit on C's, Lil C, Mr. C's. But that's the vibe I get. It was like, bro, I know of you. Your whole relevance kind of stems around from this more popular friend of yours who
Yeah,
just happens to be your bestie. And Big, he had passed away in 97, 2 years before this album. So of course you're going to get some big references because that was his ace. And in fairness to C's, man, he had some good verses in his Junior Mafia days. That was the first CD I bought. That and Dog Pound. And this, I think, because of the cameos, man, that kept it afloat because he seems like one of those artists who didn't really take it serious, like his buddy did. Like, hey, man, I got to be in the studio. It's like, no, well, my buddy's dead. Like, I'm signed to a label. It's just my job.
I got to put this out. But great cover here, little Mr. Cease. Love that. And yeah, it is unfortunate he has a name because of his buddy, but it is what it is. How are you going to
It
live
is
up
what
to
it
that?
is.
You can't live up to
Yeah,
that. So
take a shot for Big.
I'll take a nice little sip of coffee, Steve.
somebody who probably didn't listen to Too Short or Little Season 1999 is probably Pedro Martinez, because he was busy winning the MVP in the 70th All-Star Baseball game at Fenway Park in Boston.
Pedro.
Bad motherfucker, bro.
Boston. This motherfucker could sling it.
Mount Rushmore of pitchers for me.
I mean, I wasn't as into baseball, but I feel like when the Sox were getting good again and they started winning to the point like when he was on the team, like people started paying attention because it was like the history was, the curse was about to end and shit like that. And then, it took that guy to overcome that curse, and a lot of other people too.
But Matt, my favorite Pedro Martinez moment has nothing to do with baseball.
Is it when he whooped that old man's ass?
Gave him the whole namaste. Whip on some Matador shit. That like,
yeah, dude. What was that guy thinking? Bobby? What was his name? Bobby Cox? Was that who it was?
No, Cox was the Braves. This guy was Zimmerman, and I want to say George Zimmerman, but that's the murderer.
That's an even bigger asshole, but he got his. He looked like an idiot. You're right. It was like a very El Matador shit to do. What a great, that's so fucking, that's timeless. That should be actually the MLB logo, I think.
Give him that Olay.
Oh, that's hilarious. But hey, fuck it. I'd love to be fucking known for that. That's great.
It's still, man, before viral was viral. But any callbacks, takeaways, new lizard people conspiracies?
Just watching that ECW, Steve, and seeing all that blood, it reminded me that, give blood, guys. give some blood. Save a life.
70
like a Tommy Dreamer gave 3 pints on the fucking ground at ECW arena, so give that shit. Shit, Steve. What about also just the, how dirty was it? Do you think that those people came away like, how many diseases did the wrestlers get from wrestling there?
Man, well,
it's Philly.
Axel Rotten's blood, I would probably stay 11 yards away from. R.I.P. I'll take a sip for even saying that.
Get that.
Bless the dead.
Yeah, get him down, man. God bless Axel. But give blood, guys. Like the ECW, like ECW showed you to. What about you, Steve?
Well, man, in 98 WCW Nitro, things are falling apart in NWO world. Hogan, he looks like the final scenes of New Jack City when Nino's henchmen were dying. Dead a man, dead. Keisha man, dead. Could never liked your pretty ass anyway, light skinned motherfucker. That's how Hogan is looking at this point in July 13th, 98, man, because he calls Scott Hall out. A week after he loses to Goldberg, he loses his strap. He's like, hey, brother, you were supposed to soften up for me, and you dropped the ball, and I need to know where your loyalty stands, brother. So now, like, because Nash has already left. He's about to start this Wolfpack shit, and Scott Hall, he's just like, hey, yo, I'll take you up on that offer, Chico. And Hogan, he's fucking hilarious, man. So shine up your pigtails, Low Bo Peep, because tonight I'm the big bad creep.
What the fuck?
He said that shit, bro. What fucking Hollywood. Not enough credit. Like,
because I'm the big creep. What the fuck, Hogan?
Bro, Hollywood, specifically Hollywood has some funny moments just like that, man.
Man. I mean, he's fucking the fucking empire is crumbling around him, Steve. He's panicking.
And he's calling them out one by one. Oh, Buff Bagwell, they need to change your name to from Buff Bagwell to Cream Puff, brother. You know what? I'm tired of your stuff,
Puff
brother.
Bagwell.
And he pushes Buff Bagwell out of his wheelchair. He just tips him. Like, you know what? I'm tired of your stuff, brother. Like, he's losing it.
You can walk, pussy. Oh, Hogan. He's on fire, Steve. You can't stop the guy. Fuck it.
Man, his legacy, man, he's got to protect it, man. But also across the network world in WWF Raw, Jason Sensation gets some shine because he's sitting at the commentary booth with Jim Ross, Shawn Michaels, and Jerry Lawler, and he's doing his own impressions. And he's
not a nugget.
Yeah, and but Jerry is just like egging him on, like, do another Owen. He's like, yeah, my nose came in 10 miles before I did. Yeah. And Owen, he's back there with the Nation and Rock and D'Lo. They're like, no, dude, no, man, no. Owens, he's had enough. Enough is enough, and it's time for a change, goddamn it. So Owen comes out there, and I remember this when it happened, man. He comes out there and beats the fuck out of Jason Sensation. You gonna make fun of me, bitch? Get the fuck. The first thing he does when he comes to the commentary booth, he's like, "Oh, you think you're funny?"
He's like, gives him that fucking John Stossel, Steve. He slaps him right in the
Straight up.
mouth.
Yeah, man, and I know I've said this before. This is my favorite version of the Nation. When they still had Owen, I know when they had the four, it was cool, but I like the presence of Owen, man. And Kane and Mankind, they win the tag team titles on this night from D'Lo and Road Dogg because, or from Road Dogg and Billy, because D'Lo he does a frog splash. There's a lot of interfering with each other's matches, this whole DX and Nation thing. And I want to say D'Lo is probably the best frog splasher. I'm sorry, Eddie. I'll take a sip for you, but bro,
Damn, yeah, I don't know, Steve. That's tough words.
Bro, watch the shows, man. Like he gets up there in the air. Like Eddie had some hang time. RVD had some hang time, but it's the attitude with the hang time that D'Lo comes in with. Just the
And he's got a little bit of bulk on his ass too, where it's more impressive. He ain't one of these little dudes, you know.
Exactly. It's like seeing Bam Bam on the top rope. It makes it more impressive. Like seeing Nate Robinson win the dunk championship at 5'6".
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, well there you go. Steve said it. Take a shot.
And
D'Lo.
and this brawl for it all bullshit is continuing. And at one point, the fans just said, "We want wrestling. We want wrestling," because this shit is failing.
It wasn't even good looking. It was just like, I get you're trying to do some different shit, but yeah, putting boxing gloves on these guys, don't do it. Give me more Jason Sensation, you know?
More Jason Sensation. And just one more thing, man. The Val Venus, Kai and Tai, and Mr. Yamaguchi-san rivalry continues. He comes out and he introduces his new video, Land of the Rising Venus. And he's talking to this girl underneath the covers. And, honey, did you find the remote? And at first her face is blurred, but when she comes out into focus, you see it's Mr. Yamaguchi-san's wife. And like, oh man, shit is getting stirred.
Somebody's gonna get a choppy.
Of the PP. But please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Tell your little sister love should have brought her home last night. Should have been with me, bitch. Check out Crush Casual every Wednesday. Our buddy Clark the Shark anytime. And don't worry, be movie with Amanda and Wade. This is Steve G and Mad G with Happened in the 90s.